There's a lot of new CMS, rules and regulations. Unfortunately, these bad actors don't follow these rules and regulations, and it makes it,
you said it before, bad actors, which I like that phrasing. That's good.
Yeah, because it just creates competitive advantage for them because they're not following the rules. And sure, CMS is really trying to crack down on those people, but they didn't even, 7 months later, they publish an article about this. Imagine how behind they are. So for insurance agency owners that are running these agencies that are spending, hundreds of thousands of dollars a week, a month to obtain these customers and are just getting their customers flipped by bad actors.
Yeah.
It's a big problem, there. And
that would be frustrating. You know what? Last time you mentioned an agent, his own ACA policy was flipped without him even knowing it. And he was the agent who is an agent.
It's happened to our employees.
What is up? Welcome back to the CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins, and today we have a special guest coming back in the office for another round. We've done this. How long ago did we do this? 6 months ago?
Last year, October, I think.
Sometime last year.
September.
Welcome back to the channel and the podcast, Mr. Jay Abdulaziz. What's up, brother?
Great, man. Great to be here.
Dude, I'm glad you're here. For those joining us, we're going to be covering 5 topics because Jay, dude, he's organized. He stays on point. It's the reason he scaled so many big companies. Here's what we're going to talk about today. And if I'm assuming one of these will absolutely pique your interest, if not all of them. First will be about the FCC one-to-one consent, everything happening with leads. Second is ACA and members automatically being switched. Third is which we touched on a little bit last time, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth. Third is some crazy class action lawsuit, actually, that Jay believes you can learn from as an agent, which is great. Correct. Fourth is really some more on like final expense. They're crushing it with final expense over the phone, which is awesome. And then fifth is retention strategies that they're using internally and externally with their agents, field force, and inside call center to make sure that they are keeping business on the books. Dude, I like that you come prepared, man,
Awesome. Yeah. No, these are things that I know agents want to hear about. And I posted, on what agents want to really hear us discuss. And these are some of the topics everybody wants to hear about. Dude, and our opinions on these different topics.
Yes. You weren't rocking the sick chain last time, though, I don't think, were you?
I think I was I?
Were you?
I don't know.
I'd have to go back and look at the footage, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know. You guys tell us. You on the last interview, was he rocking that?
I had to go back on the footage to see what I was wearing. I'm like, was I wearing the same?
What did you wear last time?
I was wearing a white shirt. I have like a ton of those white shirts.
Got it.
It just makes it easier for me to
totally
not think about what I'm going to wear. So I have 100 of these white shirts just hanging in my closet.
Dude, how important is that? Because you've heard some of the biggest names in the world that they hate. 2 things they hate, we're having to worry about: what they're going to wear and what they're going to eat.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean?
And I have a problem with both of those.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So now I just like to throw on a plain shirt, white or black, throw a jacket over it, jeans, and,
awesome.
Or slacks, and that's it. Mm-hmm. I don't like to sit there and think about in the morning what I'm going to wear.
Do you get this dressed up for work normally or no?
Yeah. Yes.
About that?
Sometimes.
Yeah. I like the black shirt. That's cool.
Thank you. Appreciate that. It's actually a
little valuetainment.
Yeah.
All right, Pat. There you go, bro.
Yep. Little shout out to him.
I love that.
But yeah, I mean, I see that you guys have moved buildings, moved places.
Yeah,
I really like this a lot. I miscalculated actually because you were 5 minutes away from my hotel before, and I was like, all right, it's 5 minutes away, so I kind of planned to be here a little bit earlier.
Sure.
Yeah, but I really love the place. I love what you guys have done here.
Appreciate it, man. We love it too. Yeah, I also as far as wearing, dude, this is literally my uniform. I think there's some Brax pants. I have a ton of these black polos. I do if I'm going to parties, different stuff. I love wearing I forget what it's a barricade or something like that, but it's just black. There's a black shirt, black t-shirt. Yeah,
but I got it from you though. So when I came last time, I saw that you had the seat, and I was like, wow, that's pretty convenient. So what I did was I got a bunch of these shirts that I'm getting made now with my logo on it. So instead of having another logo on it, I'm just gonna have my own logo on it. Just have a bunch of white, gray, and black, and just
that's awesome.
That's awesome. Rock out that way.
I think I said your name correct this time too.
Jay Abdulaziz.
Abdulaziz.
Yes.
It's not hard once you say it a few times. It's
I feel like I'm the only Abdulaziz in the insurance industry. I haven't heard that name anywhere else.
I have never heard it.
You've never heard it, yeah.
No, which also it made sense that you own your name as a domain.
Yeah.
Because that's not normally the case either.
Really?
Well, a lot of people they can't get their name because their name is Keith Reynolds.
Okay.
You know,
okay. True.
right? Who's hanging out in the studio with us today, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I guarantee you that's not available, you know, unless, I don't know. Did you ever buy that? No? We need to get you on mic. He said he doesn't own it. It's gone. I promise you, right?
It's funny because
it's common.
Growing up, it was really hard so I remember going to school, like in elementary school, and teachers would look at the roll call, and they'd be like, all right, so because my last name is ABD.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm always the first one at the top. So teachers would look at the roll call and be like, all right, if I mess up your name, forgive me. It's after summer, first day of school. And I'd be like, I'm here. I already know where you're going with this. I'm here. And they would just butcher my name. You know.
Well, how would they pronounce it?
So my first name is Junaid, right? So they would say Hunaid, and then the last name they would just be like, okay, Abdulaziz. Like they would just completely destroy it. And so before they even attempted, by the time I got to like 5th grade, I knew this was coming. So I'd be like, hey, I'm here before they even, you know, I know what you're looking at. I'm here.
Yes.
Yeah. But you said it right.
You saved them. You know,
yeah.
which is awesome.
Saved myself too.
So why, before we get into these, why these topics today?
So I posted on Instagram that I'm coming to speak with you, and I asked the audience like what they want to hear. And a lot of people responded with, hey, we'd love to hear about the FCC ruling. Hey, we'd love to hear about paper call. Hey, we'd love to hear about retention. And then the lawsuit is just kind of something that, you know, came about like last night. I saw it. Oh, wow. So, you know, kind of just wanted to discuss like what people can learn from that, you know.
I love it,
I want to give the audience what they want to hear about.
Yeah. I like that you do that. You know, I got to be careful. Somebody commented on recently that I'm on my phone too much during interviews.
Really?
Even though I'm normally capturing a story, you did just tag me, which I'm going to share, which is amazing, which means you should follow me at Cody.Askins or official_JAY_Abdulaziz, ABDULAZIZ.
You got it, man. You're an expert now.
That's cool, bro. I'm getting there. Okay, so the first topic, FCC one-to-one consent. This has been a big topic.
It has been, and it's been getting kind of punted down the road over time. I remember initially it was supposed to take effect August of 2023. Then it got punted to January 2024. Now I think they kicked the can down the road down to January 2025. Who knows what happens next? What are your thoughts?
True. Yeah, I think it'll actually happen. Like it seems like it'd be more of a priority. It's also it seems to happen with like political and government stuff, man. Like it seems like it gets on the docket and then it takes years to actually take effect. Like it's crazy. Like if we ran a business that way, we'd be out of business, you know?
Yeah.
It's just wild.
So why do you think they did it to begin with?
I really believe, here's my theory, okay? It's not really that complicated, but here's my theory. I believe that a lead is generated. That lead is resold to a bunch of agents, entrepreneurs, business owners, whatever. That lead is also then potentially shared sometimes in a ping post system with all these other vendors and companies. That lead is also then resold as age leads. I know multiple people that actually get a bunch of their age leads from us as an example, which won't be a thing in the future. However, what I mean by that is then people's information are being sold so many freaking times, dude. And like you fill out one form, and then for the next 4 years, you get 400 calls.
True.
It's like, dang, dude. Like, I think it's probably good for industry because we get a lot of bad press or publicity around how much we call people and how often and for how long. Follow-up's good, but 400 call centers having the same people's information, it's a little extreme.
But there is a rule about 90 days, right? So from the time you opt in, whoever's calling you has 90 days to contact you. So what about that? Wasn't that enough?
There is. It doesn't mean we're following it, but there is absolutely the rule.
So do you think this is going to make a difference?
Well, I do in a couple ways. One, also too, like there's all these like robocalls, voice broadcast, you know, all these different things, voicemail drops, right, et cetera, et cetera. That is happening as well. A lot of people are using, okay, so here, you're not supposed to call. Well, another thing people are doing past 90 days is they're texting. And they're using AI to text or text blast to get people to re-engage. I'm not saying you can do that either, but they do.
Yeah, but the 90-day rule, I think, encompasses all of that, right?
It does.
Any kind of text message, because text message also falls into TCPA.
It is supposed to, yeah. The only time where, and two, people don't realize this, 90 days is like if they're not your client. And they're probably not, right? If they are, well, you've got a business relationship, so it's different.
So I think the 90 days is opt-in period, right? So if you've opted in to any site, so I think, let's just say company A creates this virtual brand overnight and shows an ad, and a customer fills it out. Now they take that and they're able to shotgun it out to hundreds of call centers or business owners. So I think it's to stop that piece, right? So you can't just create some kind of virtual brand overnight, make it look really pretty, put lipstick on a pig and then just, that's, I think, what they're trying to avoid.
Which I think is good.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the 90-day rule definitely helps, but this may be a separate issue. This may be we want the consumer to know exactly who they're opting in for.
Correct.
And we're only giving this company, Cody Askins, permission to contact us, not all his affiliates and whoever he's going to sell the records to.
Correct. Which I love, because companies used to get away with, like, you're giving your information to this brand and any of their affiliates, representatives. You know what I mean? It was just like huge, broad scope.
So if you did the click here, then you'd
my
see
lid's on my Pellegrino. Yeah.
If you did the click here, then you'd see like the list of all the companies that may ever contact you.
Correct. And you can click on a link and see all the companies, right? Yeah. Now I think they're trying to get away from that too, because I do agree with you. Like, as a consumer, I want to know where my information is going. I would prefer that. You would prefer that, right? Now, and so I love that it's like, hey, the consumer knows information is going, and then it's going to one agent, one sales rep, whatever, one company, one call center, one company. And two, MLMs in our industry have hurt this as well, because then they're selling the same lead, A lead, B, A plus lead, A minus lead, B plus, C plus, C minus, D plus, D minus.
Oh, they're grading them?
Yeah. They've got like different letters, all kind of grades.
Really?
And then they're selling it amongst the organization through dozens and dozens of agents.
So speaking of that, I've heard a few public figures say that, this is something that's going to really shake up the MLM industry, right? So when I think of, MLMs, I think of people that are recruiting, and those new recruits are supposed to go through their phones and through their Instagram and find their old high school friends. Like, I've been caught up in that before, right?
You're supposed to sell them a kit.
Right. They'll sell them that. And then there's the recruit is supposed to go ahead and sell their friends and family, right? Correct. So how does this FCC ruling affect the MLM industry? Because I don't see that.
I don't know that it does.
It doesn't, right?
I think they may tread more lightly on sharing it amongst agents for multiple different layers and like these different levels, right? And tiers. But a lot of times it's like the big brand is generating a lead, and that agent's with the brand, right? That they work with them. So could there be some variant ways it helps, or it doesn't really affect it? Sure. Could there be some ways where it does affect it? Yeah, but overall, I don't think it's like targeting, because I think of MLMs, I also think of like they are recruiting more than selling.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, exactly. And I don't know if they've made a lot of progress over the years, but a long time ago in high school, or right out of high school, I got approached with an MLM. And the whole idea was, hey, we're, pay this amount of money to get onboarded with us.
Correct.
And then they had this whole list of, you get to graduate upon your first few sales, you graduate to VP and then to director. And then, they've got the different levels. Correct. I was just supposed to go through my phone and find my high school friend and send them embarrassing messages about like, hey, I know we haven't talked in a while, but here, can you give me an opinion on this or whatever, and have them invited to a show and where they could get the whole pitch,
Yeah. And I don't know that I have I don't personally have an issue with MLMs.
I love it,
but I know a lot of people do, dude. They hate it.
Really?
Right? They hate it. Yeah.
I mean, you can't knock the hustle. Like I like it.
Correct.
I like it
join.
Because exactly, right? You have everybody has the option to not join. When I get sold on something, and I'm a lay down, I get sold pretty easily, right?
Me too.
So when I get sold on something, I'm like, that's clever. They got me. Like I'm not criticizing them, or I'm just like, look, they did it fair and square. They didn't trick, they did it fair and square. So I don't hate it. But I just don't see this FCC ruling affecting the MLM industry very much.
No, I think there's other things it's affecting for sure.
So this 1v1, I think that one thing that I'll say is this doesn't affect a lot of the pay per call industry, right? So pay per call is up and merging. Like I have a lot of friends now that are in the pay per call space. This is really
like
where
transfers and that kind of stuff.
Well, you display ads and then someone will get either driven to a landing page or they just call directly from the ad. But people are on their mobile phones and they call right in after seeing an ad and being intrigued by the ad, right? So with that, you don't have to worry about consent, TCPA, unless obviously you're going to contact them back. Right. Then you need express written consent. But
they're calling you.
They're calling you. So
and it's only going to one person.
In most cases,
it ends up with one. Obviously, it goes through a routing system and all this. But
I know people within the industry that'll take that, that'll take that call that's been sold and then sell like the high talk times in the form of data. Pretty, not very ethical. Or if you're not telling.
There's another example of this, though. Again, it's the data is dispersed.
Yes, exactly. So I think the pay-per-call industry, done the right way, this FCC ruling doesn't affect those people. One thing that I will bring up that I think is going to happen with this FCC ruling, there's a bunch of litigators out there that'll buy hundreds of cell phones and they register all of them in the do not call list and they wait for their phone to ring and then they'll do their digging to figure out who contacted them and they'll file a lawsuit.
Exactly.
That their business is going to triple, right? Because now with this new FCC ruling, you no longer have to, it doesn't even matter if you're on the do not call list or not.
Yeah.
If I didn't opt in for this company to Cody Askins to call me, if I did opt in for Cody Askins to call me and someone else calls me,
yes,
that's an automatic lawsuit now.
Yeah. You also asked about the Kaboom lead brand too earlier, which is interesting because a lot of funnels, a lot of vendors, they're generating a lead through a funnel. And then that's getting round robin to different agents through one single funnel. That's normal in our industry. The problem is the consumer doesn't know who it's going to at all.
Gotcha.
That's not really one-to-one consent. It may end up one-to-one, but the consumer has no idea, right? And so I think it will actually eventually, it's going to take a while, I think it will eventually affect a lot of the way the marketing structure is being ran too.
So I think that's already been kind of figured out via like pings. I think there's a way for lead generators to basically get the highest bidder to get that consent in real time. Yeah. So you're the consumer, you go onto my website, you're ready to fill out a web form. This is the way I think it works. I'm not really sure, but now you have a pool of different agency owners that are bidding for that one lead, and the highest bidder, their information will dynamically go into that web form. So the consumer is then consenting for that highest bidder to contact them.
So that's how a lot of the bigger companies are doing it, which makes sense. A lot of these like small, well, I say small compared to what you just talked about, typically small, right? They are not doing that. And then they're just sending in the lead to this person this time, but they're all paying the same. So it's not like a bidding system.
Right. It's just like whoever has the tech stack, to get that done.
Correct.
Yeah. But
which when it comes to like call centers and tech, you have a lot more experience than majority of people that we put in that chair. So it makes sense.
Yeah. I'm excited about our pay per call because we do pay per call for both ACA and final expense.
Nice.
And so I'm excited about that because that's going to continue to grow. And, I feel like we have a pretty good head start on a lot of people that might be wanting to enter that space because their space might go obsolete. And I don't even know if they're going to continue to kick this can down the road, if it's ever going to actually happen. But if it does, then it'll shake up the industry a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. But the people that you have to be a savvy, you have to either find a source that you trust or just be a savvy marketer. Because you're always, if you're a savvy marketer, you're always adapting with the times. You're always making changes. You're always improving. You're always innovating, right? It's those that don't that will. Like I have a buddy, and he is literally, they do $300,000 a month worth of age leads, and he's like, "Crap, dude, my business is done if this happens, when this happens." So
problem is most people are short-sighted, right? It's just unfortunately the way it is. They're, we talked about this last time. Everyone's looking for a quick dollars. They're looking for the fastest way to do things. Everything is glued and taped together. But I think if you decide, hey, I want to do this for the next 5 years, 10 years, right? And you kind of buckle down and, stomach some of the early on investments, it's a game changer.
Yeah, it is. It is. Anything else on that note? That's a good conversation. I appreciate you bringing it up.
Yeah, of course. No, that's it. I think we're good with you.
ACA, dude, they're like the ACA king. But you don't. What's your thoughts on all these members just being switched without their permission?
So we brought this up last year when I was here, whatever it was, September.
That was a hot topic. I got a lot of feedback on that last interview.
Yeah, and what's crazy to me is that now these articles are being published. Latest one being published on April 4th, 14th?
Yeah, it was really like 4th. Yesterday or 10 days ago, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll read some of it. So here's how it starts. Some consumers covered by Affordable Care Act insurance plans are being switched from one plan to another without their express permission, according to KFF Health News. This leaves many potentially unable to see their doctors or fill prescriptions. Some face large IRS bills for back taxes. So this is something that I talked about last year when I kind of saw some of the things going on in the industry. And they're publishing this article almost 7 months later. So that just goes to show how behind they are.
Correct.
And we already saw the writing on the wall that this is going to be a big problem. Is
it still as much of a problem as it was 7 months ago, or is it a bigger problem?
It's a bigger problem because they've left it wide open for agents to actually do this. All you need is someone's full name, their date of birth, and you can go into Health Sherpa. Yeah, that's it.
That's the craziest freaking thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Dude. That's nuts.
Yeah, it's a serious challenge. I mean, I'm reading this now. Rogue agents can enter into a policyholder's account in the 32 states served by the federal marketplace, and they're able to just put in the person's name, their date of birth, view all the applications, and just make a switch to their application.
And the craziest thing is, like, you can have crazy incentives. Like, I've seen $500 free $500 gift cards and all kind of craziness. You can literally use that, get someone's information for 50 cents if you're savvy.
Oh, yeah.
$1, whatever.
It's too expensive.
And then boom.
5 cents, yeah.
5 cents.
Penny leads.
Jeez.
Yeah, so you could just go into people's profiles, switch them. And
because date of birth's not hard to get.
There's a lot of new CMS, rules and regulations. Unfortunately, these bad actors don't follow these rules and regulations. And it makes it...
You said it before, bad actors, which I like that phrasing. That's good.
Yeah, because it just creates competitive advantage for them because they're not following the rules. And sure, CMS is really trying to crack down on those people, but they didn't even, 7 months later, they publish an article about this. Imagine how behind they are. So for insurance agency owners that are running these agencies that are spending, hundreds of thousands of dollars a week, a month to obtain these customers and are just getting their customers flipped by bad actors.
Yeah.
It's a big problem, and
that would be frustrating. You know what? Last time you mentioned an agent, his own ACA policy was flipped without him even knowing it, and he was the agent who is an agent.
It's happened to our employees. Yeah.
You know what's sad about that is, and if you're doing a bunch of this, just be very, very, very careful, right? Because if someone's network, doctor, prescriptions, you mentioned one other thing a second ago, all potentially going to be changed and switched without them knowing. Even if they do know, like, gosh dang, dude, like, if I've been going to one doctor, or my prescription's been covered in some way, and then all of a sudden I can't go to that doctor, my prescriptions aren't covered, whatever, that could, in some cases where like someone's health is not good, that could wreck someone's livelihood, finances, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, imagine this. You have a doctor's appointment because you have something going on, your specialist.
Yeah.
And you go to your doctor's office and they're like, sorry, you have to pay cash because you don't have insurance. Think about that.
And
that
happens. And then you go get the procedure because you just assume it's covered. Yeah. Something happens. You know what I mean? Jeez Louise, dude. That's a mess.
That is. And it's been happening, it's been happening way more often. CMS came out with a new rule. So now consent is transactional, right? So in the past, you needed consent to enroll a customer, but you could use that same consent to re-enroll a customer, right?
So they were just...
Yeah. So I got consent back in August, and now it's February, and I'm still taking that customer back. I've taken them back 11 times already, right? And I could say, hey, look, here's my consent to enroll this member. Gosh. Now they've made a new rule where consent is now transactional. So anytime you want to make any kind of change to the customer's application, whether if it's you changing the AOR, changing the policy altogether, whatever it is, you need a new consent. But again, the problem is most of the bad actors don't follow these rules, and they keep taking customers back. Let me give you a stat.
Gosh dang.
95% to 98% of policies are poached within the first 48 hours of you actually selling that policy. Think about that.
And where's that stat come from?
That stat comes from some of our downline agencies.
Got it.
Right? So
incredibly
if you
high.
sell,
That's
if
why I
you
asked,
sell
'cause that's
10
like-
if you sell 10 people
It's like
today,
almost everyone.
yeah, within 48 hours. So if
So
you sell,
should you even sell ACA?
yes,
Okay.
you should. There's no reason not to sell ACA.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you that there's a lot of reasons you have to roll with the punches. You know,
Sure,
you just
sure.
have to kind of
And that's
figure it
true
out.
with any product.
Any product, any industry, right? You could sell 10 people today.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, 9 of those people have been poached. And there is no possible way that these agents are getting a hold of your customer within 48 hours and legitimately getting consent to switch them over to a different plan. So what's really happening
Agreed.
is everyone has insurance through the marketplace. You sell somebody, whether if it's a new sale for you,
Yeah.
but someone's already sold them in the past. You sell them, whoever the agent is that sold them in the past now gets a notification that that plan has been switched, and within 48 hours they're switching that back without updated consent. Jeez. That's what's happening. And so
Unreal.
so new rulings come out, and then the agents figure out new ways to try to
Correct.
to finesse the system. And what I'm really surprised about, and not very surprised at the same time, is that these bad actors haven't really been caught up yet, because one of the big things, a lot of complaints come out of this, right?
How do they catch them though? Unless there's
Carrier complaints, Department of Insurance complaints, CMS complaints, right? So you get a good level, a good number of complaints, and you're not able to provide the Department of Insurance or CMS a recording or some kind of document, with consent. You're in trouble, and you can lose your entire book of business.
I mean, if you're selling people stuff without them knowing it, or moving them without their permission, you should lose everything.
Well, some things that are happening behind the scenes, call them burner Sherpa accounts, right? So Health Sherpa is an EDE platform. And so what happens is, let's just say somebody that's licensed that wants to make a quick dollar, right? Hey, I have my license. I don't know what to do with it. Hey, listen, bad actors says, hey, listen, I'm going to pay you $1,000 a month to use your Health Sherpa, your Sherpa account. And they'll use that Health Sherpa account to go ahead and use those penny leads to enroll all these different members. Now, when a complaint comes in, CMS is targeting that agent, right?
So they're targeting the wrong person.
They're targeting the wrong person to begin with. That
I've
agent
never heard of
gets,
that. I did not know
agent
that.
gets
It makes
suspended.
sense, but man.
But that happens in life insurance too, and we'll talk about that. But that agent's Sherpa gets suspended, FFM certification goes out the window. Maybe they get fined, whatever. But it doesn't matter to the bad actor. Now he's going to go ahead and use another agent to do the same thing all over again. So burner Sherpa accounts.
So is this what our lawsuit that we're going to chat through is related to?
No, this public lawsuit is a little different. This is a lawsuit that was filed collectively by, it looks like, an insurance agency, lead vendors, and customers. It seems like they roundtabled, got together and said, hey, let's file a class action lawsuit. And it's pretty ugly, right? Now, you try not to freak out when you see things like this, because nowadays you could sue a ham sandwich, like who knows, right? True. But basically what this lawsuit is alleging is that these customers were marketed to the wrong way. The agency that marketed them and sold them, they sold them the wrong way. They did AOR switches on them without their consent, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Now, in my opinion, I do think there's some bad actors out there. But I do think that to me, this looks like a TCPA litigator, right? Okay. This is some of those guys that are opportunists, like I said, that just line up their cell phones, file, they make a living off of this. Correct. So their job is to wait until the phone rings, do some digging, figure out what's going on, and then legally extort the business and say, hey, so this is what we have on you, pay us to go away. And that's what this is all about, you know. And my personal opinion is, even though this does happen, you know, only time will tell if this is something real or not. And more than likely, this is just a stunt to try and extort some of these big companies out there. That's my opinion.
Crazy.
Yeah. But, you know, but a lot of things do happen where, you know, you have straight up scammers, like I said, that are using these, you know, they're using these accounts to just, you know, milk money from the system. And ACA, unfortunately, like, what I don't understand is why CMS has left things so wide open, right? Like, if it's me, I'm just requiring some kind of real consent to be uploaded. Of, you know, I'm requiring social security numbers. I'm requiring a 2-step authorization.
Yeah, and the recent, like actual recent, they wanted help.
Right. Well, just some kind of information that's not public. All you need is a name and a date of birth. Like, how did you not know this was gonna come? You know, to begin with, and now that it's a big problem, you're like, oh my God, what do we do? And you're coming out with these new rules, which is fine, but why not just change your internal system and requirements? Require Health Sherpa and any EDE platform to have consents uploaded, get a method of payment, get a social security uploaded, something that will notify you that the agent actually went and did some due diligence, actually spoke to the customer, actually got consent. And this problem goes away on its own. But, you know.
Do you think they'll make changes in the future?
I'm surprised they haven't made them yet.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, even rolling it out, how do you allow just a name and date of birth? You know, your plan could get switched as we speak, as we're sitting down now, because all somebody needs is a name and a date of birth. I mean, I can't wrap my head around it. And I can't understand, like, you know, we trust our government agencies, right? So you would think there's some smart people that are roundtabling this and saying, hey, so how do we avoid this? And like, no one came up with the idea to like upload consents in real time or get some more information other than a date of birth. It's just mind boggling to me.
It's interesting. I don't know if I wanted to go there or not. You said we trust government agencies. I'm like, I don't know if I do.
True.
Right?
You know what? I take that back. I want to say we at least trust them to...
I know there's good people in government, okay, for the record.
I mean, like, vet people to at least think critically and say, hey, we have a problem here. I'm talking like just problem solvers, right?
Yeah. Like, and have someone that has a lot of experience around these topics be involved and then ask them what could go wrong.
Right. So
how would you exploit this? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying hire the scammers to get, to get.
But that's the way to do it, right?
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
how do you close up hacking gaps? You hire a hacker to hack your system, and you pay them for every hack, and you say, okay, how do we close these gaps? So I just think there's a fundamental flaw in the way that this was all set up to begin with. And the reason I believe this happened, even to begin with, is because I feel like there's an agenda. The agenda is sign up as many people as humanly possible for whatever reason that is. Yeah. I don't get it. Maybe, our government wants to go toward the Canada route, right? Healthcare for all, free healthcare for all. Maybe. And that's how this all started. But it's like, how do you make it so easy? And then now when it's a problem, how do we not make changes to this? I mean, we want people signed up for healthcare. Sure. We get that. Yeah. But, at least tighten up a little bit, make sure that people are getting consent. And the only way to do that is to have some kind of real time document uploads. So those are my 2 cents on it. But
interesting. As
far as the lawsuit goes, very interesting to see how things are going to move forward. I've known people that have had this type of class action lawsuit filed against them. It's not, from what I understand, it's not very easy to get something like this to stick.
Correct.
But again, it's all about, hey, let's settle. Let's get some money.
That's the whole goal. They don't care about it. They don't care that this is even happening. They just want to get paid.
This happens in any industry.
Because it's interesting. Because okay, yeah, and you're right. Because people will file something like this, and you would say, "Well, I just don't want it to happen to anybody else," or "Oh gosh, it's so bad," or whatever. But if they offered them money and allowed them to keep a bunch of money, and they allowed them to keep doing exactly what they're doing, dude, they take the money and run all day.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, what's the only angle I've ever seen in these examples is entirely compensation related.
Absolutely. I mean, and you file a however many pages this is.
It was long.
And
I didn't even get to the bottom.
Wow,
You sent it to me, and I was like, "Holy freak!" Dude.
They have exhibits and pictures and all kinds of crap, and so the goal is to make it as presentable as possible, to make it as threatening as possible, for these companies to make a phone call. Hey, how much do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want?
Correct.
And that's what these TCPA lawsuits. I mean, I've been a target of TCPA lawsuits for no reason.
Yep.
We've had the opt-in. We have,
Same.
And it's just, you can't argue with them because now it's going to go to court. Now you have to sit there and, spend a bunch of money.
You're spending money the whole time this is happening.
From the moment it's filed.
Correct.
And if you don't respond, the whole judicial system, that's a whole nother problem. So back to your, do we trust the government? They've designed it that way, right? So you could sue anybody. And then if you're sued, now you have to spend a bunch of money to try to, prove your innocence or whatever.
Because you are guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, it really should be, hey, you're innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
No, I think that's out, man. I think everyone's guilty until they're proven innocent.
Especially in a civil lawsuit. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because now you have to sit there and prove that, you have the opt-in. And even if you have the opt-in, a lot of time the problem becomes, the express written consent wasn't, the right verbiage.
Correct.
Right? Whatever, right? Or, you didn't display your name when you texted me, or you didn't give us an opt-out option, or, there's so many rules that you have to follow that if somebody does file a TCPA lawsuit against you or any kind of lawsuit, it's like almost better to not waste your time, energy, and effort going to court back and forth, and who knows who the court's going to side with. The judges, who knows, right?
True.
Sometimes they might not even be educated on TCPA law like that, right? Correct. Because these judges are seeing so many different kinds of cases they're hearing, and you just never know. So it's better to just pay whatever it is. It'll be cheaper, and on the other side of it, you want to take a stance. If you just settle, then you got a target on your back. Oh, that guy just settles, So it's what do you really do,
Correct. It's insane. Yeah. It's insane.
So this happens in any industry, even final expense, our next topic.
Yeah. So I'm curious, because I'm a fan of final expense. I sold it for years, love it. You all sell a ton of it.
Yep.
I think I don't think everybody always has the client's best interest at heart, but I think there's a lot of opportunity in the space.
So I think that there's enough carriers out there that if you're representing multiple carriers, you could truly find the customer's best interest, right? What kind of coverage do they want? Are they just looking for burial coverage, or are they wanting to leave their loved ones behind with an amount? I think that you could definitely, depending on their situation, you could definitely find them what they're looking for if you're working with multiple carriers.
Yeah.
So one of the things that this industry has started with, a bunch of boots on the ground, independent agents, not a lot of call centers within the space. We are in the telesales space. And, one thing that we've been told is that our retention is much better than a ton of the field agents out there. Now, I'm sure a lot of field agents out there are killing it, doing their thing,
sure.
Putting a lot of effort into retention, but that's what it requires, a lot of effort. And if you're an independent agent, a lot of times you're worried more about getting the sales, right? Because that's the upfront
Correct.
instant gratification. The retention side of the house, you almost are okay with letting your sales fall out of the wayside. Not that you're okay with it, but the priority is let's get sales, because if I spend money on leads and I don't get sales, I'm going to be upside down. But the retention piece is just as important, but it's not in your forefront because it's just kind of something that's happening on the back end. So a lot of agents might not be able to give it a lot of attention, and that might cause a lot of retention issues, right? So in a telesales environment where you're working off of volume and your margins and your revenue and your margins are enough to be able to pay for a decent sized retention team, my opinion is that it's a lot better because you're able to form a team for your retention. So, you've got guys that are contacting people before their draft. You've got a team contacting people after the draft. If the payment declines a few months down the road, you're able to kind of get those people back. And you've got a team that's on top of it. And, an independent agent might not have that luxury. If you're a team of an agent, 2 agents, 3 agents, you might just be, most of the time I've seen all the people have the same DNA. Mm-hmm. They're all like sales guys, like really, ice in their veins, close every call they get, kind of, but they're all front end. And final expense, just like any other insurance or any other subscription-based business, requires some attention to detail on the back end.
Yeah, it does, for sure. And I think it gets ignored a lot. Like retention specifically is, you're right, you said it. But amongst agents, it gets ignored. Agencies, it can get ignored. Call centers, I have heard good feedback about certain call centers who put a ton of emphasis on retention. And they have a whole team that's dedicated to that specifically. And that would surprise agents listening that you would have a final expense call center that has better retention than they do. That would surprise people.
I was surprised myself because the way it went was one of my partners went to a group and said, hey, how can we improve on our retention? And the response was, you guys are doing a lot better than our independent agents. We were going to ask you what you do for retention. And we're like, really? Wow. And not that our retention's bad, but we're always looking for rooms for improvement. We're always looking for ways to improve. And we're just like, we were shocked when we heard that, but we were also proud, right? Like, so what are your thoughts? Like, as far as you work with a lot of independent agents. So like, what have you seen that works very well on the retention side of the house for final expense? Some actionable things.
Yeah, I would say one is that was at a mastermind just a few days ago, and they were sharing a certain software or tool that can automatically send out like handwritten thank you cards.
Really?
For literally every sale,
awesome.
Right? And it can integrate into your CRM and stuff, which is cool, right? That was awesome. And it was like, I don't know, 65 cents or something. It was pretty cheap, right?
What was it called?
It was inside of, so I have a partnership with Agent CRM at CodyCRM.com, and it was something called Mailbox Power, which is inside of that. And it automates the mailbox piece.
Wow.
Between sales, right? So that was a cool piece.
Handwritten letters.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Thought that was awesome.
Okay.
I also have heard, what's interesting is, here's one thing I heard a while back that I loved. There was a guy in Arkansas that had a Medicare agency, hundreds of Medicare. Actually, he had thousands of clients on the books for Medicare all over the state. And he had a team, and literally every May, I don't know why, but that was their month, they would call through their entire block of business. Every May, and they would divvy it up between everybody. And at some point during this month, you had to make it through this list of 400 people amongst 7 of them, whatever, right? And they had incredible retention, but they actually did some of those small things because agents, they get hundreds of clients on the books, and then they stop. Like I used to do a monthly newsletter. Every single month, I mailed every client a newsletter for years, recipes, all that kind of stuff.
So the Medicare, I think what you're saying is that like if someone's selling the same client multiple products, they're stickier. Is that why?
That too.
Okay.
Yep.
So sold them a Medicare product or, enrolled them into Medicare Advantage.
Well, they were just checking on them. They weren't even trying to sell anything else.
Oh, I thought you meant they're upselling them final expense.
No, but if they would have tried to do that more, I'm sure they found the occasional annuity. They ended up making sales from just doing it. Someone would be like, oh, hey, I have a CD. You know what I mean? Just random stuff, right? But no, they were literally just calling a check.
Gotcha. So this is just like a checkpoint, like just
hey,
once
Mary.
A year.
Yep.
Making sure that this is still the best option for you. If not, we'll switch you up.
Sure.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
so May was their month, huh? Interesting.
It was weird
because it's outside of AEP, outside of OEP.
Yep. And they had it. Maybe it was because it was like halfway between the year, right?
Or maybe it's because it's after OEP, so it's like, let's just make sure that everybody we've signed up during AEP and OEP is okay.
And they had MA, but they had a lot of med subs on the books too. Yeah. So those are some strategies that I've heard. I think, at the end of the day, it's like just try to keep business. A lot of agents will get emails that like someone's going to cancel a policy or replace it or whatever, and they won't even try. Like they won't even contact the person.
So we do a lot of interesting things on the back end. So I'm not surprised that we did very well, but I figured that if an independent agent has a personal relationship with a customer, been inside their house, or their place of work, sat down with them, showed them paperwork, enrolled them, I felt like has their agent's cell phone number. I thought that might be a little bit of a better way to retain customers. Instead of having, a team of people that they've never met or a case manager contact them. But we have a pretty solid process. We have a dedicated case manager for everybody that we enroll. And the one thing that we're implementing as we speak is something that I heard about from one of our peers. What they do is they send out a package right after enrollment. And this package is basically a way for the customer to plan their funeral, right? So it's like their beneficiary, what they want. Do they just want, service? Do they want just to be cremated? Some people say just throw me in a box and set it on fire. You've heard that. And others want a proper service. They want they want to they want their family members and loved ones to see them go respectfully. And so we are going to send this package out, which kind of helps them visualize everything and makes it real, right? In lieu of everything else that we already do, right? Yeah. And I think that's going to help improve our percentage by at least 5 to 10 points.
That's a lot.
It adds up. It does. It should, because we contact customers via phone, we contact them via SMS, we contact them via email. But a lot of our target, age demographics, they might not be answering their phone or answering their text message or emails, right? But when they get something in the mail, they're definitely looking at that. Yeah. So it's one or the other. You communicate in one form or the other. Correct. If you're not communicating via cell phone and email, you're definitely checking your mailbox. Yep. So we think that sending them stuff in the mail, we're going to include a magnet with that, a whole package, and we think that's going to improve our retention. So we know what it's going to cost, and we are expecting a certain retention from that. Cool. And so at the end of the day, even doing these things, it makes you profitable at the end of the day, right?
Every little bit helps.
Every little bit helps. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, and what about front end strategies? Any front end strategies that you've seen kind of change over time, just on the sales side of the house?
It's funny because I used to do the whole thank you card thing forever myself too, which I feel like is definitely more front end. You mean like before the sale?
Yeah, like before the sale, like the prospecting side of things.
That's interesting. What we've seen there's some stuff we've seen from a lead standpoint, like where showing a picture of the agent. I saw somebody yesterday who was texting a picture of their whole office as the initial text. Oh, wow. Like, hey, you've been assigned here. Only speak to this person. Like that kind of stuff. We list the agent's name 6 times along with the picture. Like, we try to encourage inbound calls pretty quick. Like, a lot of that type of stuff I've seen definitely help. I've seen it help the conversion rate for sure. Yeah.
Interesting you say that, because what I do is if I ever get a phone call to my phone, but someone trying to, solicit final expense or ACA, I always take a listen to what they're saying. And what's really interesting is one of the bigger companies I got on the phone with, actually, their agent sent me a text message, family photo, a picture of their driver's license, and a picture of their insurance license.
Wow.
That was kind of their intro.
That's awesome.
Was, hey, I just sent you a quick text message with all my information just so you have it there.
I love that.
And then they started the pitch. Kind of, persuasion.
Phenomenal, dude. Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
It's big. It increases trust.
It does. It does.
That's a big, because you know what somebody said the other day? We were on our academy call maybe, and someone was like, someone mentioned something about I get a lot of like, I don't give up. They don't. They were struggling to get bank account from leads from prospects, and other agents like that never happens to me, you know. And they're like, well, what are you doing? Well, they were doing all those early things so that later they didn't have to worry about it. Where most people are not doing those little things early, and then later they pay for it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know how you would do that at scale because you know, having agents send, you know, licenses and socials and licenses and, you know, driver's licenses via text, that at scale is pretty hard to do.
I wonder if there's a way to incorporate that into some tech stacks in some way they can put, like, each agent has their own pre-formatted thing that goes out, you know? And maybe it's just links,
right,
instead of all these different files. But
then, you know, I could see the hesitation on why agencies don't do that because of these litigators, right? So
that too.
There's a bunch of litigators out there.
Did you feed them all the information?
You feed them all the information, and now they know where to go.
Kidnap their
you make
kids,
their life
pretty much, you know,
pretty easy. Yeah, exactly. And so, and it's not even, again, it's not about if you're doing the right thing or not, because you could be doing everything by the book.
Yeah.
But then these litigators find loopholes to try to extort you, and you know. But overall, I found that pretty interesting. Is that they're, you know, sending their pictures, and
I think it's
family photo was nice. That was like,
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm an agent. And I felt comfortable. You know, I just felt like, all right, this is a real person.
So I was at a conference one time, and Ty Lopez was on stage. You probably know Ty Lopez.
Yeah.
Ty Lopez was on stage in this conference, and he pulled up his laptop, and he pulled up 2 Instagram posts. One was his picture of him in front of a mansion with all of his cars in LA. Right? A bunch of exotic cars. Or the other Instagram post was a picture of him and his 92-year-old grandma. Which picture do you think got more engagement?
Wow. I would say the 92-year-old grandma.
Correct. Yep. It's crazy. And it stuck with me. I was like, that's such a cool lesson. Literally, his grandma got way more engagement than him with a bunch of cars or women, mansions, whatever, you know.
You know what? I would think that the cars and the mansion would get a lot more lead generation, especially from the younger crowd.
Yeah.
18 to 25.
I could see that.
And then for trust building, the grandma picture probably ripped it.
100%. Yep. Which is why if I was like, okay, I'm a final expense agent, like you're talking about, I'm trying to increase trust. The senior don't care what car you're driving.
That's a great point. That's an awesome point.
Yeah. Thanks. It's cool.
Cool story. Yeah. So, you know, the last thing I want to touch on is, you know, lead generation overall for, you know, ACA for final expense.
Okay.
So, you know, I just think that right now with this whole FCC ruling, I think a lot of people are going to switch over from generating web forms, you know, over to pay-per call. We've been generating some pay-per-call for final expense now, right? So we started generating some leads on Google, some leads on Facebook, some of the other platforms, and we've seen a lot of engagement. They do very, very well. And anybody that wants to connect with me could go to jabdulaziz.com or onecallclosesale.com.
Yep.
So one of the things that I give away for free to all audiences is if you go to onecallclosesale.com, you can actually download a free PDF, and it's a 9-page PDF that shows you how to one call close, or how to master the art of the one call close. And that's a way to connect so we can help out with any kind of pay-per-call and lead generation as well.
100%. I love that. Well, dude, it's good to have you back, man. I appreciate you sharing.
Great to be here.
Great convo, great topics. If you guys love this, man, share this thing out. And let Jay know in comments how valuable this was. Anything else you want to add before we?
No, man. Great to be here.
Thanks,
Always
bro.
Awesome to come see you guys. And, you know, you got a great team and a great thing going here.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. Okay. And appreciate you guys as well. Thanks for hanging with us on the Power Player Podcast. Let us know in comments below what you thought. Like this video, share it out, and we will see you on the next one. Adios. Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're going to love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there. I'm so excited for today's CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. We got a special guest. He is back on the channel talking about how to sell life insurance from home. Here's what I love about this person. Yeah, I'm telling you, this will be one of the best.